Showing you how to change out the diff gears in your FCX18. These ones, the originals came with plastic diff gears, and the new ones, the brushless, don't. But I did have it strip out. I ordered the kit. I already put the rear ones in, which are the easy ones. I'm going to show you how to do the front ones, and you should be able to replicate that for the rear, but with a lot less work. So you won't have to do the stuff with the steering or worry about that. It's pretty simple regardless. But we're going to start by taking off our wheels. Alright, so I'm going to kind of just store everything right here, just to the side. It's really simple. You don't need a lot of tools. You'll need your little wrench to take off the wheel. You will need a tiny screwdriver for the drive shaft. And then you'll need a 1.5 millimeter hex wrench to take off the parts up here. So, but we're just going to start by taking off both wheels and tires. I'm just going to set these pieces right here. And we'll do the other side and be right back. Both wheels are off now. All my parts are stored in this little tray right here. This is a CCxRC pit mat. The next thing we're going to do is, you could take off all of these steering parts, but we're going to try not to have to do that. I've gone and moved my screws to be on the back side. Yours may be still screwed into the front of your axle, but if you actually do this, you get a little bit more steering, so that's why we did that. You'll see we did a few little hacks like that to ours. Alright, so there's two of these, and we're just going to kind of pull them off and get them out of the way. They're going to kind of stay attached, which is alright. Just putting the screws down here to the side. Alright, I'll get this other one off and we'll be back. Alright, I've removed both the screws from the axle. They could be in the front or they could be in the back, depending on where you have yours. I again moved mine to the back. We're going to take this little tiny screwdriver and we're going to remove our drive shaft here. It's going to have to come off anyway. So we're just going to get it out of the way right now. Sometimes your parts will fall into your car. And you just have to kind of drop it, tip it over and get them out. Alright, so that's done. Next thing we're going to do is we're just going to pull off these. So we'll do one at a time and see if we can actually do it. We might not be able to. It's alright. You could take off one side of this if you wanted. It looks like this just pops on. But we're just going to unscrew it. It'll just make it easier. So we're going to unscrew one of the steering links. The drive shafts stay attached to the portal, so that's part of the reason why it won't pop off. It should just pull off like that. That's how the rear ones pull off. Very simple. I'm going to put this over here because that's my right side. The left side. Even with the full steering. Okay, it does come out. Wouldn't say it came out easy. So actually what we'll do is we'll kind of cheat a little bit when we put it back on. We'll take this part off. So next thing is 4 screws on the front of your gear housing or your diff, your axle, not your gear, your axle housing or diff cover. In this case, it's just one big solid axle. You don't have a diff cover. That's just replaceable, so we have to take it apart. It's multi-piece axle, not a big deal. So we're going to take off these 4 screws and we'll be right back. Alright, so we're getting this last screw out and it's just going to kind of come apart and you're going to have your servo and everything kind of come along with for the ride because it's kind of mounted together. So we're going to be removing this and we're going to be replacing that. In the case or the gear that I bought that came over, took a while to get here. By a while I mean like 2 weeks. It'll come with these, but you'll also have 2 bearings and you'll have that for the front and the rear. The bearings do go on this gear. I don't know why it didn't come with the other bearing that goes on this gear. And there's a sharp metal piece sticking off of this one. Wow, let me see if I can't cut that off. That's not good. I don't know if you can see that. Look at that. That won't work. Alright. Closing it. Alright, so there's that. So, We removed the drive shaft, which is going to allow us to push this out. It's very tight in there because of the bearing. There, popped out. Now, I fought this thing forever on the rear one. Did not realize that there is a little screw on there. If I'd have looked at the directions, I would have seen it. Eventually, it kind of caught my eye, and I saw it. And then this came off, and then the bearing comes off this way. There's actually a stopper. I was trying so hard to get it off the other side. Even still, it's a little bit tough. So one of the tricks you can do as well is just put your wrench or your driver, inside of that hole and just pull down. It'll slide the bearing off, like so. Just one of those nice little tricks you can learn. I'll slide it on here. Now, I used both Udder Butter and I used this CCxRC Premium White. For this, I'll be using the ProTech. Alright, so I'm going to slide that on, and we're just going to stick that back in here. Push that bearing into place until it seats in there good. I'm going to add a little bit more of this grease in here. Like so, and that will go on the bearing, or on the other gear. And so we're going to look and see which way our writing was. So these are the top two. The writing FMS is here. So our gear was on this side. I couldn't remember. It helps if the case kind of is a little bit of a reference. So the gear's just set in. Your cover goes back on. I may try to line this in before, like so. Now the trick is you can spin this on the right on your portal here, to try and find where it meets up, because it's keyed, so it only fits in one spot. And there, now we're in. So I'm going to go ahead and get these two bottom ones in place, and then we'll reset our servo. Again, in the rear, you don't have to worry about the servo. The rear one's a little bit easier to work on, but we're getting this thing. And this just really strengthens it up. I think the plastic were actually not bad if you know how to drive them, but I was letting some other people drive this that weren't necessarily familiar with how RCs and crawling works and when to let off if you're getting bound up. So again, same thing, I'm going to be using my fingers here to try and help find where it's going to let it push in the rest of the way and seat itself. Not always easy to do. And you're kind of just trying to get it to line up with the diff. So it's moving it, it's catching. There it went. It's getting close. Alright, so those are in. I'm going to go ahead and put the screws in to hold this in place on the back side here. Again, I do this because otherwise the knuckle hits right here on this side where that screw is. It hits faster. So you get a little bit more steering if you go on this side. I don't know why they do it the other way from the factory. They do, and we're just making it better. All right, I'm going to do both of these, and then we'll be right back. All right, both of those are screwed in now. We've got to line up this servo. I'm going to take both these screws out. I think it'll be easier. There we go. Now it's threading in. There we go. Oops, sorry, you can't see that. It's a little high. So we just had to back that screw out a little bit so I could set it down in front of the holes and line it up. Because when it was partially threaded through, it was making it really difficult to kind of line everything up. But it's a pretty simple servo mount setup on there. So we've got kind of everything situated how we need it. I'm going to turn the wheels as far right as it'll go, just to give you a little bit more clearance here for getting the driver in. There it goes. It's threading in there right there. The easier way would probably be to just pop this plastic piece off, but there we go. All right, so we're gonna go back to our first steps. Take these little pins here, push them through our axle about halfway. Well, perfectly through, but it goes a little bit more than halfway until you get it equal on both sides. Look for the groove on this. It's cut in, it'll sit right on there. You put your tires on, make sure your tread pattern is the right way. How many times have I done that and had to redo it? All right, tread pattern is right. We're gonna put this tire on and this wheel, tighten it down, and we'll be good to go. And I'll get these on and we'll be right back. I'll note if you spin this, it doesn't tighten it. If you hold the wheel or the tire here, it'll keep it from spinning if it's seated right on the hex below it. But otherwise, that axle will just spin on the other side. So we'll do that. Just thought I'd stop and tell you that. All right, with the drive shaft, the thing that we want to make sure is that they're in phase, which isn't a huge deal for these little RC cars, but basically we're wanting it to pivot in the same way. So I'm just lining these up to be the same. Yeah, that pivot's the same. So if you look here, you want these to line up and be in the same direction. Right here is the same direction as this one down here. So not a huge deal with these, but we try to keep it that way anyway. All right, so then you're just gonna spin your wheel till you get it so that the D shape is working for you. It's gonna be facing upward is the best way, because that's where you're gonna be screwing your thread in. So that little D shape, when you do it that way, leaves this up. We grab our screwdriver and we're going to drop this in. And I dropped it, like I said before about that. Shake it to the table. I do not have a magnetic screwdriver, which I wish I did. Alright, so we're going to start threading it. Now we're kind of in the clear here. It won't fall out at this point. Done. I'm gonna pop the hood. I don't have the right battery in here, but I have another FMS truck. I'm just gonna test it. Make sure everything's working all right. Got my radio. Turn it on. Lights came on. That's a good sign. Steering works. Nice, we're back in action. Oh, these things are so great. If you haven't watched it, I have a video just showing kind of what I did to this one to make it handle so well. Brass wheels, these scrambler tires, fully compressed. They still don't rub. They're perfect on it. The weight really keeps it planted. I took the springs off the shocks and it's just smooth, but it allows it to sit a little bit lower to the ground. I'll call it like droop mode. And then when it needs, that suspension just kind of opens up and drops out like that. Works really good. The other thing I did is you can either bend this steering link, or I just took a razor and I shaved off the front of that to just allow that more room to spin before it hits. So yeah, I just shaved off quite a bit. There's actually, I think, a hole in the front of mine, but it's working good. Get our lights on here. That's high speed. Low speed crawling. Oh, there we go. You just have to tap it on this one. On the new ones, you have to hold it. Blinkers. Nice. Even though I wish it didn't have blinkers. I'll have to go through here and trace it and find out what I got to remove. Turn those off so I can use the rest of the lights. There's not a scenario in which I want blinking or turn signals. So it has them, but I wouldn't want them. Anyway, all right guys, Thanks for tuning in as always. Have fun RCing. Hopefully, alright guys, hopefully that helped you with one of your, alright guys, hopefully that helped you, made you feel confident in putting in new gears into your FCX18s. These are sweet trucks from FMS. I'll have links for you in the description. One, if you want to get one of these trucks, or the new one, if you want, already has metal gears in it. I'll link to that as well. That one's brushless as well. But if you can find a good deal on these, I mean, brushless is cool, but these things have so much good slow crawling capability, even brushed, with lots of control and power. That's not my favorite upgrade of the other one, honestly. It's the metal gears and the way that they separated the electronics. But this thing's been a workhorse for me, and I absolutely love the colors on it. The other one is murdered out black, which is cool too, but this blue silver fade is pretty rad. Anyway, thanks for tuning in as always, guys. Have fun RCing. Catch you next time.